Two down and one to go at the Autódromo Internacional Algarve in Portimão in Portugal for this first weekend of the Spanish Winter Championships 2026. It's E4 up first, normally known as Formula 4 in the main body of the season, but with it being the Winter Championship, it's the E4 Spanish Winter Championship. Yesterday was a very busy day at the office for Nathan Tai and Andrej Petrovic, two drivers coming up goods for the victory for the Drivex and T-Code by Amtog teams, respectfully. Now we're going to get to see what they'll be all about on day two of this fantastic competition. Qualifying has already given us first blood to Nathan Tai. The number 46 has got his first pole position of the campaign in front of Noah Montero, Vivek Canthan and Renault Franco. Expect a very different race compared to what we saw in race one yesterday. The sprint race gave us a little bit of history. Not only did Andrej Petrovic come up with the second win of his career in the Spanish F4 paddock, but Luna Flusha came home for the rookie win and second overall in her second ever car race. More action today as Nathan Tai and Noah Montero get to run from the front row of the grid. And if Noah Montero can go from 31st on the grid to a points finish in race one, imagine what he could do from second on the grid. The Portuguese star really wants to win on his home turf, and this is as good as it gets for a home circuit for Noah Montero. Portimão is one of the most spectacular race circuits in the world. It's affectionately known amongst the drivers as the roller coaster. It really is an amazing venue, 24 meters of peak and trough at full throttle. An amazing race circuit and fantastic overtaking opportunities that we saw in both race one and the sprint race yesterday. Today will be the final encounter of the Portimão weekend. Next week we go to the former Formula 1 venue in Spain, the Circuito de Jarama, and then 2 weeks after that we conclude the Spanish Winter Championships at Motorland Aragon before we all go back to the drawing board and get ourselves ready for the main body of the season for the F4 Spanish Championship. This is the paddock, of course, that took Franco Colapinto to the world of Formula 1, and several others have joined him in the paddock across Formula 2 and Formula 3 and even the F1 Academy as well. Here is the Autódromo Internacional do Algarve, the fabulous Portimão circuit with such great straights to go and play with, those amazing fast flowing apexes with big elevation and camber changes, and it should be a much more interesting race, this one, because again we've got slightly lower temperatures for the start of the day. It's February, so it's fairly cold in this part of the world anyway, so it should be a grueling battle for our drivers, and this will be the third and final race of our opening weekend of the campaign. Just two races on the bill for you today, Euro Cup 4 and Euro Cup 3 back to back, and then everybody will pack their bags and get themselves ready for the next event next week at the Circuito del Jarama. Just a drive away rather than a flight away on this occasion. The beautiful blue sunny skies over Portugal giving us a fantastic backdrop going into this third and final encounter of the first meeting of the 2026 campaign for the Spanish F4 drivers that we should see most of in full-time capacity from the start of the season. It's a wonderfully picturesque part of the world. I've come here many, many times over the years, and this is a fabulous location for racing, for any form of racing you want. Bikes, cars, all sorts of battles with karts, and even the vintage car capacity as well. This is a fabulous location, and it really is going to be a stunning battle that we've got in front of us. Cool track temperatures, almost 50% humidity, and 5 kilometers an hour wind speeds could catch out some of the drivers on their faster apexes. This is not going to be an easy walk in the park for our drivers from the front row of the grid. Both Nathan Tai and Noah Montero know that there's going to be a lot of opposition behind them. The man who got pole position in race one, Vivek Canthan from New York City, will be third on the grid alongside Renault Franco, the Flying Dutchman. So as you can see, the drivers are getting themselves in their cars, ready to venture out onto the circuit. There is Rahim Alibai, one of the new drivers from the Monlau Motorsport team, the American driver hoping to continue his education in the world of single-seater. Today will be another full distance race, rather than the 10 points that were on offer for the sprint race yesterday for the winner, all the way down to 1 point for 10th place. This time we'll have a full Formula 1 style scoring system again. 25 points for the win, 18 for second, then 15 for third, 12 for fourth, and 10 for fifth, all the way down to 1 point for 10th place. And it'll be 30 minutes plus 1 lap that goes on the board once again. There is the Thibaut Courtois Racing team with their young man Bolovet, the Belgian talent, looking to continue his fantastic work over the course of the weekend. But it's definitely going to be a tricky one to predict. Here at Portimão, the cool temperatures, 18 degrees Celsius in the air at the moment, and that means that one thing is for sure, it's going to be difficult to predict how the tyres are going to work over the course of this half-hour race. It'll be cooler, so hopefully the tyres won't be pushed quite as hard as they were in the second race, but that doesn't mean it's going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination. That beautiful, picturesque skyline over the hills of Portugal. The Algarve is one of the most beautiful places in the entirety of the Iberico region, and this is a country that is absolutely addicted to sport. Whether it's motor racing, football, golf or tennis, this place has big pedigree and amazing heritage for racing and competitive sport of any description. So we're definitely going to get to see a really exciting battle ahead of us, because there's certainly a lot to get done over these next few minutes or so, just in preparation for the races ahead of us. Bolavet for Thibaut Courtois Racing, one of the members of that team. He of course has a couple of decent teammates in the stable as well. Mario Giovanni is going to be driving the car in F4, and don't forget the team also has a very strong representation in Eurocup 3 as well. There is Zoe Florescu, the American-Romanian, as she gets herself ready for another exciting battle, carrying the branding more than equal on her helmet. The fantastic campaign that is trying to bring more women into the sport and trying to push them further up towards Formula One under the great tutelage of the Indian Racing League race winner and W Series star from the past, Sarah Moore, alongside an incredible team of people still coaching those drivers to greatness. Here at Portimão, though, it'll be an interesting one for Zoe Florescu to see if she can continue making that headway here on the circuit. This is her first kart racing weekend of 2026, and it will be a very difficult one for her to get right. It's very tricky on this circuit. The roller coaster does pull its punches at various points on the course. The safety car there you can see on the front end of the grid. Goodness knows how many times we'll need Angel Marin's services over the course of the day, but the safety car driver getting himself geared up, ready just to be on the safe side. Everybody gearing up again also for another exciting battle and the next 25 points that will be up for grabs over the course of this weekend. Only one driver has the perfect score from races, that is James Higotzi in Eurocup 3, but in Eurocup 4, me and Alex Garcia are definitely up for an exciting run down here on the circuit at the Algarve. Well, one thing we can definitely say, Alex, is that Nathan Ty's had his breakfast this morning. He's definitely firing on all cylinders, but so too is the hometown favourite, Noah Montero. He certainly won't have to go from the back today, but what an opportunity for him to win in front of his home crowd.
Good morning, Jake, and exactly that was the exciting news perhaps from this morning. Seeing Noah Montero, of course, not having any issues this time, and that means that he's definitely one to look out for. He's definitely a candidate for that home win he has been looking out for since last season. And of course, we've seen that he's probably the quickest guy around. You have to be quick if you want to slice through the field like he did yesterday. I think the combined number of overtakes was roughly over 45, which is a lot in a single day in Formula 4 in class machines. And well, if he wants to win, he'll have to beat the man of the moment, Nathan Ty. Very quick, very confident. He's feeling definitely better than I've ever seen him in a single-seater. And it is perhaps a little bit unexpected that it is DriveX that has given him that form that he was seeking, but definitely not unappreciated, because I think that's perhaps the big story of the weekend. I think you will agree with me, Jake, both in Eurocup 3 and E4, which is the underdogs have rebelled against the establishment, and that is very exciting to watch.
It's incredible to think that Nathan Ty and me go back 10 years now. Quite astonishing, considering his debut in karting back in the Birolot UK series all those years ago. and now stepping into the Drivex car from pole position here at Portimão, off the back of winning the first race of the season yesterday. Quite an astonishing turnaround of fortunes. Let's talk about some of the other characters up at the sharp end of the field, Alex. The leading rookie this time is going to be the Canadian Ty Fisher, side by side with Rocco Coronel. Two drivers that were not afraid to get their elbows out yesterday, so they will want to try and get in amongst the Andrei Petroviches, the Nacho Antunions, the Renault Francos of this field. But it's looking like a little bit more of a stable grid than perhaps yesterday proven. A few of the jitters, a few of the pre-season nerves have been shaken off. The cobwebs have been well and truly disappeared. So are we going to get to see those rookies really coming to play with the established guard again compared to what we saw yesterday?
I think so, yes. I mean, to be honest, we know that as opposed to Eurocup 3 here in E4 and F4 later down the season, down the year, we know that the second years have a little bit more of an advantage, historically at least. We knew, of course, Rocco Coronel was going to be quick. We knew that he has the Red Bull support. He has had quite a big program to get ready. He was racing, of course, in the last race weekend of last year in Formula 4 Spanish Championship. So we were expecting him. But in the case of Ty Fisher, those who know him from before, they know that he's quick. But he has less experience, perhaps, in these specific conditions, and that has been a breath of fresh air, which I think is always good. And as you were saying yesterday, I think it is time to start looking at the next Canadian Formula 1 driver, so hey, why not?
Yeah, and considering we've got two of them on this grid, we've got Ty Fisher and we've got Jensen Burnett. But interestingly, Jensen Burnett's had a real struggle in qualifying earlier this morning, as did Jakub Mikilev. And also, interesting to see that the likes of Daniel Kelleher, Boris Layson and Luna Flusha are not quite as quick in the first sector and the second sector of the lap as they were yesterday. It seems as though those drivers that were having a bit of a problem in the first race of the season have caught up a little bit. It's one of the things I love about this schedule, having the two qualifying sessions for the races, one on the Saturday morning and one on the Sunday morning. It means that if you're having a bad day, you can erase it and pick it up again a day later. It's something that makes this a fairly unique schedule, and it really rewards the driver that's prepared to go to work, do their homework overnight, look at the data and fix what the problem is. It's one of the best things about this championship.
Exactly, and traditionally Sunday is usually the fastest session of the weekend, at least, you know, if conditions are good enough for that. And that's because the teams keep working throughout all Saturday, and they still analyze everything that they extract from the cars, both in qualifying one and the races. And there's usually a little bit of a change from Saturday to Sunday, which is not necessarily obvious, because one would think if so-and-so are the quickest drivers, they're going to be the quickest drivers on Sunday, but that's not necessarily the case. Yes, there is a tendency. Yes, drivers like Nathan Ty are going to be around in both sessions, but sometimes you have someone that you know is quick, but they struggled in one of the sessions, in the first session, and they managed to come back. It's the redeeming arc in a sense, and they go back to it, and they're quick on qualifying. They have a better chance to finish the weekend on a high, and that means that the good drivers get a better chance at actually making a good use of the weekend. I'm saying this as opposed to some series which run all the races in a weekend with one qualifying session, which I always thought was a little bit unfair, because sometimes you're a little bit unlucky with traffic or the car has some issue and then your whole weekend is gone. Not here though.
Yeah, there are certain junior ladder sessions that run the qualifying sessions back to back, and if you've got a problem in one, then you're not going to compete in the second one, and that's the disadvantage of having that. But having it spread out across 2 days for two separate qualifying sessions definitely helps the drivers here. We talked about drivers that were out of position yesterday. Renault Franco definitely in a much stronger position today. He's fourth on the grid for this one, and Noah Montero from P2. Two drivers that were definitely not in the positions they were expecting to be in for the first race yesterday, and then of course conversely for the second. So we could see some fireworks from both the Portuguese and the Dutchman, and they will be seriously expecting to really charge forward and make up for the lost time.
Exactly, and you know, you were talking about specifically Noah Montero and Renault Franco, and they have two very different situations, both of them. Because we know that Noah Montero, of course, racing at home, that is already completely different, but he's already preparing the Spanish Winter Championship, the whole season that comes after that. Meanwhile, Renault Franco, the situation for the rest of the year is still not clear. So in a sense, he has less to lose because he's not entirely sure what's coming next. So he needs to just, get out there, get on with it, have fun, enjoy it, be as quick as he can. And if he needs to take a little bit of an extra risk, so be it. And I think that's what makes it also exciting, that not all the drivers are in the exact same shoes, and they need to adapt their own, let's say, strategies on track to what they have in terms of sponsorship, in terms of teams, in terms of plans for the rest of the year. So we have a few good ingredients for the race today.
It's a very good point you bring up in relation to Renault Franco. He was hoping to have a very strong start to the season out in the Middle East. Unfortunately, he had to miss the entirety of the second event out in Abu Dhabi due to the driver he replaced damaging the car in the first weekend. So he missed an entire weekend of prep in the car that was above Formula 4 out in the Middle East. Now coming back into a Formula 4 car for this weekend, it certainly tells you that Renault Franco is trying to get his confidence back together, just getting some seat time. But I'm hoping that a decent drive in this one will give that little sense of urgency in terms of his sponsorship portfolio to put him into a full-time Euro Cup 3 seat for the main body of the season. He's a very competitive driver. He knows how to win in F4. So for him to take a step back, it might be seen as a sort of a 2 steps back situation, Alex. But if you can go 2 steps back and then go 3 steps forward, then it's a gamble worth taking.
That is definitely what's going on here, I'm sure. There's always these little things, and sometimes the plan is, if you need some track time, maybe it's cheaper also to do it this way, and then you save a little bit of extra money that you can get and that you can use to get that funding for the rest of the year with what you're actually aiming for. We've seen being very competitive in Formula 1 class, so Formula 4 class I should say. Maybe he would be in Formula 1 in the future, but I'm sure that he would do a very good job in Euro Cup 3 given the right tools for it. And I'm hoping as well as you, Jake, that he can get the chance to get that full-time seat in there, because he would be an exciting addition to the championship.
Let's talk a little bit about the 3 females that are in the grid. Yesterday we saw Luna Flusha drive in fantastic fashion as a Mercedes junior from pole position in the reverse grid race to then take it to 2nd position despite the pressure that was put on her from Rocco Coronel in the latter stages. But she's not the only fast female out on the grid. The other 2 women on the starting grid are actually 2 of the strongest talents to come out of karting for quite some time. There's Zoe Florescu from Romania, who is not just your average female driver to come out of karting. She didn't just race in the junior category and the OK senior category. She then went and spent a year in gearbox in the KZ2 category, which is the same journey that the likes of Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen and even Kimi Antonelli went before they went to car racing. Now that stands her in a really solid and mature mark. There's not many women who make the choice to go to gearbox, and it tells you how serious she is about her career path. Also, Maria Germano Neto, the Portuguese driver, again racing on home soil, very similar to Noah Montero, but she was a Tony Kart factory driver and a CRG factory driver, so that's a serious talent to watch out for. The women certainly looking strong. We're going to talk our way through the grid. Ty and Montero, very big competitors out in the front row of the starting grid. 2nd row of the grid behind them, Vivek Kanthan, who'll really want to get a victory after yesterday. Renault Franco back in the top 5 again, definitely going to be strong. Then you've got Petrovic, fresh off the back of his race 2 victory. Nasha Tunion, 6th position. Ty Fisher and Rocco Coronel, 2 very hungry rookies who want to give us a really decent showcase. Rounding out the top 10, Casper Schormans, watch out for him on the start, and Daniel Kelleher. I'm very interested, though, with all 3 women that we were talking about there before. Luna Flusha going off P12. We've got Zoe Florescu much higher up than she was yesterday in P26. Maria Germano Neto just knocking on the door of the top 30 as well. There's still good potential for these 3 ladies to put on a good show. But this is their first weekend in cars. And I have to say, under the circumstances, Alex, all 3 of them have actually acquitted themselves very well.
Yes, exactly. That's what I thought was very interesting. All of them seemed very comfortable. I haven't had the chance to talk to Zoe yet, but I did talk to the other 2, and I was very impressed with how Maria seemed very calm, very collected, even though it was her first race weekend in this category as well, in cars racing really. Of course, being home, it's probably an extra bit of excitement. So she was carrying herself very well, which was quite impressive. I talked to Luna this morning, and she was happy with her result, definitely. But hear this out, Jake. she was happy but ambitious. She wanted more. It was not that she was happy with that second place and that was it. She was thinking, you know, I could have done more in qualifying. It was not maybe what could have been, and I want to get further up the grid, which I think is placing her in a position which shows that she's going for more. One last bit of information about Luna from yesterday. I'm not sure if it was her own choice or if it was the team choice, but she set up the car with very, very high straight line speed, maybe not as good in terms of the more twisty sections, but it worked very well for what was important yesterday. First of all, keeping that lead in the first part of the race, and secondly, defending that second position after the restart. So it was interesting to see the team taking that approach. It worked well. Let's see if they did the right approach for today also.
Certainly smart tactics in the early part of the season. It shows you where everybody's head is already at this early stage of the season. Alex, gracias mi amigo. We'll come back to you very quickly indeed through the course of the race if you're needed, and we'll be waiting for you in the winner's circle later if not. So with everybody getting themselves dialed in and warming up the tyres and brakes to the optimum temperature, we're on the green flag lap, the formation lap, and the 32 drivers ready for another spectacular showcase. Here's the Drivers' Championship in the Spanish Winter Championship E4 class after the first two races, race 1 and the sprint race. Nathan Tai currently leading by 8 points to Vivek Kanthan, with Andrej Petrovic and Nacho Tunion, the teammates at T-Code, both tied on 18. Kasper Schulmans on 15, Noah Montero incredibly on 13, despite starting 31st on the grid twice. And then Kelleher, Franco, Luna Flusha and Rocco Coronel scoring points over the course of the two races yesterday. Certainly helps them out in terms of their move forward up the field. There will also have been teams points scored, but at the end of each race weekend, the highest two scoring drivers per team add to the team's tally. That's how it works in the Spanish Winter Championships E4 category. So now we're getting ourselves ready for the battles that are ahead of us. And it's certainly going to be a very interesting one to battle away. We'll see again how the competitors are likely to progress. So Tai, Montero, Kanthan, Franco. A very exciting battle for all of the exciting moves for the contenders. We're going to see some really exciting battles for the drivers as we look forward to the race that's coming. And now we're going to see how the competitors will cope with the situation. Once again, it's that hard charge into turn 1. And it's the boy from Sheffield, 17 years of age, Nathan Tai, who wants to get another win on the board and extend his lead. There is Lorenzo Flusha in the stands with his mother, Lisa, and also Lilo Feriliev, I noticed there as well, another great female racing driver who's watching along. It's great to see that the karting community just keeps on growing and everybody wants to get involved in what's happening. But yeah, that was Lucas Flusha watching his little sister ready out in the course. He's been through this journey himself, of course. Now we're going to get to see what it'll be like when he goes to battle, when Luna goes to battle, sorry, as we get ourselves ready. Nathan Tai, pole position. Noah Montero second. And the Portuguese fans here want the Griffin Core star to charge his way through to go for the W. How is it going to work out? Who is going to come through this first race of the day and the third and final race of the Spanish Winter Championship E4 class? We get ourselves ready for one more time. Let's race at Portimão. Great start from Nathan Tai, but a very good one indeed from Noah Montero. He's going to have to settle in behind Tai though as they head to the first corner. The drivers work their way through and round the outside. That's a very strong start indeed from Renault Franco, who's already trying to go wheel to wheel with Kanthan. Kanthan's going to get back in on the inside line. Franco's going to have to concede as he runs off the rumble strip. And Rocco Coronel's made a decent start. So too has Fischer. It's Petrovic that's really struggled off the line. He's dropped a few places, unfortunately, as the drivers drop down to the apex for turn number 5. Franco is going to leave this one late to dive in on the inside of Kanthan. Goodness me, he had to bail out of it, the Dutchman. That got very messy there for a moment, and it looks like one of the MP drivers is struggling a little bit there for grip at the back end of the field. Not entirely sure who that was losing ground. I think that might have been Felipe Rice having some problems. We'll double check as they come through again, but Nathan Ty certainly leading by example here at the moment in front of Noah Montero. That's exactly how he wanted to kickstart things. A very exciting run for the drivers as they work their way down the drop. Ty's building a lead already to Montero. This is exactly what the British driver wanted. He's got the lead in the points, but he's also got the lead in this third and final encounter of the weekend. As we go side by side for position, that is already a duel between Luna Flusha and Jakob Mikelev, the teammates at Campos, the two rookies. The drivers are on track to finish this first lap green. So it looks to me as though we've kept it nice and tidy for the first lap of the day here at Portimão. As we come up over the top of the grass, Ty's just trying to break the toe of Montero. Canthon still fairly closely behind, then Franco and Coronel. Fisher, Shawmans, who's having a little look on the inside line there, decides better of it. The Dutchman just waiting for his moment on Ty Fisher. The Canadian still going well in P6 as Franco again decides that his countryman, Rocco Coronel, is going to be a threat to the inside line, moves the car to the middle of the road to ensure that there's no dive on the inside line. There is debris on track at turn 6 apparently. So the drivers need to be aware of it because, of course, if they run over that, then we could end up with a puncture. So Kasper Shawmans definitely trying to get well clear of Nacho Tunion in the T-code. Petrovic is 9th in his. There is the debris. Fortunately, it's off the racing line, but it's just something that the drivers need to be aware of. So Ty, bit of a lock-up there from Ty Fisher. So Nathan Ty is your leader. The other Ty, the Canadian Ty Fisher from White Rock in British Columbia, doing a fantastic job to hold on from Kasper Shawmans, but you can tell that the tension is high. Shawmans has a look up the inside line. He's going to commit. That was very well read, though, by Ty Fisher. He did not get flustered. Many a driver would have seen that looming red car diving up the inside line, gone for the move and thought, you know what, I'm going to have to bail out of this. Not this occasion. So Luna Flusha going wheel to wheel with Jensen Burnett. It's just like the karting days all over again. Wonderful to see so many of these young superstars promote themselves into the world of cars. And guess what? We've gone 2 laps in the E4 class without a safety car. What a great start to today. Told you Sunday was going to be different to Saturday. And as they come off the final turn, we've got 3 cars in a slipstream race here. All battling close together as they go across the line. And there's nothing in it between Kaczynski, Barbarella and Alibi. Barbarella's trying to find his way back into position here in the Drivex car, and he's made it. Good work from the Argentine Simon Barbarella. Very nicely handled in his battle with Alibi. Bolovet is in the mix of all of that as well. Racecraft needs to be very careful here, even though you're not fighting for the points. If you give it a couple of laps, you could well be. You've got to try and stay focused in your battle, but in the middle of all of it, you've also got to look after your tyres, because that's what's going to get you into the points-paying positions. This is a wonderful scrap as they work their way out of turn 5 and back up the hill. Brilliant racecraft from our youngsters. Hard to believe that many of these drivers haven't even finished secondary school yet. And they are absolutely on their A game here. And so far, we've kept it absolutely clean as a whistle. Nathan Ty leads the way. Montero only 0.3 of a second back though, so the Portuguese star, who has just banged in the fastest second sector of anybody, is going to be making a threat. And we've got decent side-by-side action in the midfield. That looked like Bolovet making his move on Miki Blascos. And a little further up the road, we're getting a couple of decent racing manoeuvres here. 24 versus 13, that is Lovet and Pinheira. Zoe Florescu trying to get herself into the mix at the back of the queue as well. So far so good then, as these drivers are definitely giving us a decent battle all the way from the back to the front. And Ty and Montero half a second apart. Franco has well and truly dropped Coronel, now going after Vivek Canthon. But the boy from New York holding on in third place for the moment, as Nathan Ty holds steadfast to the lead on Noah Montero. He doesn't care at all that the man behind him is on his home turf and would dearly love to give the home fans a victory. Well, Nathan Ty's brought his entire family out here. Nathan Sr., Nicola, his parents, and then his younger brother Nico. They're all here enjoying the fact that their boy Wonder is doing a fantastic job. They've flown all the way from Sheffield in the United Kingdom to cheer their boy on. Noah Montero's only had a short drive by comparison, but Noah Montero certainly doesn't have to worry about charging his way through from the final row of the grid today. He can focus on his objectives, and he's staying close to Nathan Tye this time. There is Vivek Kanthan. The American driver was a superstar for Paralin in the world of FIA karting before getting into F4 last season. This is his second campaign in the category, and it's great to see him up in the top 5 where he richly deserves to be. He works very hard indeed, is Vivek Kanthan. I've been very happy to say I've known him for a few years now. He's a very talented young man. Yellow flags. That's up at turn 5, so that's at the hairpin off the back straight. But is that going to turn into anything, or is it just going to be a brief one? Fortunately, it's the latter. We go green flags immediately. But we have got some damage, and that is the 44, I'm afraid to say. So that is a very unfortunate end to the competitive run for Elliot Kaczynski, who's now going to be making his way back to the pits. Looks as though he's got himself into an incident there. Broken front wing. I noticed that Pablo Ricobono has also come into the pits. Well, there's the damage. It's already happened, unfortunately. And then he gets tagged. Oh, he got tagged there by Dante Chima. So Dante Chima, unfortunately, tagging the Swede. We've got another incident here. Is this why we had a yellow flag at turn 1? I think it's going to be. Oh, very nearly a NASA launch there for Alish Pineda. Pineda already had a retirement yesterday with a technical problem with his car. Now he almost goes airborne. Meanwhile, back at the front, Noah Montero is not giving Nathan Tye any room to navigate in a peaceable manner. He's got to push. Qualifying laps all the way then for the British driver, the way Noah Montero is working him. And the same for Vivek Kanthan and Renaud Franco. Coronel ahead of Shawmans. Then Dugnon, Petrovic, Fischer and Daniel Kelleher in luck for the final point at the moment. Then Jakub Mikilev from Legion, Garas, Burnett, Flusha. Jean-Paul Garas is ahead of Simon Barbarella. We're going to see another replay. This is going to be Franco's absolutely monstrous dive on the inside of Kanthan that he had to relinquish. Tell you what, Renaud Franco really is gaining a reputation now for being one of the last of the late breakers. That was very gutsy and determined from the Dutchman, but he just didn't quite have the room and racetrack to bring the car back to a slow halt. Right, Tye has started to come off the racing line now. He wants to shake off Montero. Montero is very quick indeed in sectors 2 and 3, and Nathan Tye knows it. For the last couple of laps, Montero's been quicker than Tye for the lap. But it's going to be very difficult to know whether or not he's going to be able to hold it. Right, now they've got a little bit of a headache in front of them, because back out on the circuit after his pit stop is Elliot Kaczynski, and he could end up causing a problem. Meanwhile, this man, Vivek Kanthan, has just set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:45.208. The top 4, the only drivers in the race, able to get into the 1:45.2s. And interestingly, there's only 3 other drivers pretty much at the moment who's able to stay in the 1:45s regularly, consistently. And that's Coronel, Shawmans and Andrei Petrovic. So far, so good. There's Tye. The back end starting to rotate a little bit. That's tyre degradation, as Elliot Kaczynski does absolutely the sensible thing, and he knows that the field is going to come past him. So he slows up. He makes it very obvious where he's placing the car. So he's not going to hold up the field. That's very sporting indeed from the Swede. It's not his fault that he's ended up with a broken front wing, but it's also not the leader's fault that they've got slower traffic in front of him. So Kaczynski is not going to be immature. He lets them go by. Very sensible and smart work from the young Swede. So still the battles very intense up front, and it looks like this is going to be one of those days where the race is going to have to be a little later in terms of when we decide things, because Montero is just breathing down Nathan Tye's neck. He's not letting him get away at all. They're watching very intently in the Drivex garage to see if Nathan Tye can back this up. Renaud Franco still trying to stay with Kanthan. the Dutchman is actually starting to lose a little bit of traction. We start to see now the cars, the back end starting to come around a little bit, and this is what we were talking about right at the start of the day with those 5 km/h winds. If it hits the car at a certain angle, then it pushes the rear wing, it changes the entire center of gravity of the car for a split second, and there's not a lot a driver can do except just hold on to it. If you try to overcorrect, the car will spin before you even know what's happening. Great battles in this midfield again. We've got Balbarella, Blaškos, Alibai and Bolivet really hustling each other as they run through. And that's the TC Racing car being squeezed there. Bolivet will not be happy at all about that. But that's racing. You just got to pick your battles. Go for the move when it's on, leave it off the table when it's not. But so far, so good. Very exciting situation for the contenders up front because Noah Montero is still hustling Nathan Ty. Yellow flags again, turn 4 this time. So that's the first left-hander after the triple right at the start of the lap. But is that going to turn into anything nasty, or is it going to be cleared fairly quickly? We've got yellows at turn 4 still. Kasper Schormans appears to have dropped out of the contest, so Kasper Schormans is now down the order. I don't think he's come through. Kasper Schormans, safety car, right, that's the drone looking over turn 4, and that's where the yellow flag was. There is Kasper Schormans walking away from his car. Disappointing indeed for the Dutchman, not what he wanted at all. Very talented young man is Kasper Schormans, but on this occasion he can't even quite get the car to a marshal's point. Now, you can't really criticise him for that because the car is going up the crest on that back straight, and he may have felt that the car just about had enough momentum to get to the marshal post. But yeah, very difficult situation there. So Schormans is out of this race. Very disappointing indeed. It doesn't look as though there's been an accident of any kind. The car doesn't appear damaged from that shot, but it's certainly not the best way for the race to fall away a little from Nathan Ty, because the safety car is not what he needed right now. For Montero, this is brilliant news. It's a chance to dial things back in a little bit. So he now gets the chance to reset a little, and that could buy him an opportunity to go after the British driver once more. So safety car is out, not for the first time this weekend, possibly not for the last either. We've got the E3 race coming, don't forget. There is Angel Marin getting aboard the Mercedes safety car, which belongs, of course, to the AIA Racing School here at the Autodromo Internacional Algarve. They do a lot of practice runs and driver tests here for young Portuguese and Spanish drivers who want to get into racing. Quite a few youngsters have had their racing licenses won and honoured here on this particular circuit. So now we've got 2 retirements, sadly. Pablo Ricobono, who sadly dropped out of the race at the end of the first lap. We're not entirely sure why, but certainly his GRS not circulating at the moment, and something has caused Kasper Schormans to retire from the race. Now, that shouldn't be too big a job to clear, because fair play to Kasper Schormans, even though he couldn't quite get to the marshal post, he got the car pretty close to it. So I don't think this is going to be a long clear-up job at all here. And as a result of that, it shouldn't take us too long to get the race restarted. It is in a slightly awkward position, as you can see, because the rescue truck has only just managed to get to Kasper Schormans' position. Don't forget that we don't quite have the same resources and the same budget for hundreds and hundreds of marshals that a Formula One race does, so it does occasionally take time for the safety teams to get there. So fascinating stuff at the moment, as the drivers are still in good position to take advantage on this restart. It's certainly going to be very intriguing to see what the race will look like when we restart again. There's the Monlau crew. So let's have a look at some of the replays from the first section of the race. This is the race start. And it was actually a fairly decent one from Noah Montero, but he just didn't quite have the legs to go for Nathan Tighe. Watch Renault Franco, though, round the outside. His daring and his fabulous lack of negotiation skills with Vivek Kanthan really putting him on the ragged edge. But it was Kanthan that eventually got the run to third position. There is the number 7 that went wide on the first start. Felipe Rice has already had some problems this weekend. For once, it's good to see all the cars getting away. We've had a couple of stalls in the first 2 races yesterday, but everybody, at least this time, getting away. That's actually quite a tricky task for these drivers, particularly the rookies, who haven't got a lot of experience of standing start. Because, of course, you only really do standing start in karting if you go to gearbox or if you're in the Honda classes as a youngster. And you certainly don't get a lot of standing starts. That's where the front wing came off. That was Pablo Riccobono's front wing, by the look of it, the GRS car. So that's where the front wing came off. This is the gutsy determination of Casper Schormans before he retired. Got to see some very choice moves around the course. Look at the battles that we've had in the midfield leading up to this point. And there's the damage already to Elliot Kaczynski's car. So he's had that damage quite some time before he dropped back. He has got going again, by the way, Elliot Kaczynski, and both he and Dante Cima have rejoined, albeit a lap down. And because this isn't Formula One, they won't get that lap back now that we're under safety car. So sadly, they'll have to stay down the order. And it shows you how tricky it is for grip, isn't it? Another good battle in the back of the field. Alish Pinheira going slightly airborne there for a moment, and that's how Elliot Kaczynski got turned around by Dante Cima. And now both men are down at the back. Franco, and again, what an absolute kamikaze launch on the inside to make the position. And there's Casper Schormans getting out of his car. And that looks mechanical to me. That certainly doesn't look like he's picked up any major damage. I can't make out any from that shot, but maybe there was contact we didn't see. As far as Casper Schormans is concerned, he couldn't care less because he's out of the race, whatever happens. Safety car in this lap. So we're going to go back to racing then. And for Nathan Tighe, the pressure cooker starts now. We are over half distance. We've got 11.5 minutes to go. And now it's going to be very difficult indeed to determine which of the 2 men here is going to have the upper hand. Tighe's got the experience, so has Noah Montero, don't forget. These 2 drivers have raced each other many a time in karting. Back in the days when Nathan Tighe used to race for the Sony Kart factory team, and Noah Montero used to race for the Kart Republic Motorsport factory team. Now, of course, they're at Trivex and Griffincourt. Tighe not going for it just yet. He's going to have to wait. His father, Nathan Sr., his favourite movie was always Days of Thunder. Rather sadly this week, one of the key actors in that film, Robin Duvall, sadly left us. He gave us an everlasting quote for motorsport aficionados, though. Robin is racing, certainly in the E4 Spanish Winter Championship. We've seen a couple of examples of that already as we concertina around the final turn. Are we going to go for it? Not yet. Nathan Tighe really is backing them up. Goodness me, this is a risky tactic for Nathan Tighe. Now he's gone for it, but it looks to have absolutely worked. And we go very late into it to go green, 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 green. Nathan Tighe leads away. Look at the cavalry behind. So many big chances now into the first corner for several drivers who might have taken an opportunity or 2 here. Franco's still not quite able to deal with Kanthan. Rocco Coronel may get a shot into turn 3 on the inside of his countryman. Can't quite make it happen. Safety car procedure is under investigation apparently. And there's yellow flags at turn 1 already. So, quite a few drivers going for it. And it looked to me as though there was just a little bit too much fracas. What a fabulous battle. Oh, contact! 2 or 3 cars coming together there on the drone shot. Up at turn 5, that's definitely going to be a safety car. Because we've got 2 cars not moving. That is the 12, the 38 and the 37. So that's gone horribly, horribly wrong. I'm afraid that is curtains and game over already then for Philippe Carras, along with Ty Fisher and Daniel Kelleher. So for Ty Fisher and Daniel Kelleher, it's absolute disaster. Safety car again, and this time it's going to be a longer one. Well, this is such a difficult situation because we've had a very tricky restart, a very aggressive one from Nathan Ty. It's the slide initially. That's what causes it. Oh, goodness me. Philippe Carras was very lucky. He almost rolled it, but it was the pendulum step out, the big slide there from Daniel Kelleher. He accidentally speared into the side of Ty Fisher in the sister team car of the Griffin Court. And Philippe Carras had absolutely nowhere that he could put the car except up in the air. Very difficult to read who's at fault in that one, but certainly the back end of the car got tail happy for Kelleher under braking. I'd say that's one of those incidents. Unfortunately, it's also caught out Jacob Mikulev. So the Maltese driver didn't come through in the second sector either. So there's 3 cars there at the scene. There's Jacob Mikulev's car. He's trying to get it going again. Come on, give me a gear. Give me a gear, we're on the safety car. Not gonna happen, Jacob. I'm so sorry, my friend. He's just gonna have to pocket. Oh, he's got damage to the rear suspension. You can actually see that the wheel is out of line anyway. So big damage there. Very sad indeed for Jacob Mikulev as the Maltese driver is out. There goes Ty Fisher walking away from his car. He'll be bitterly disappointed not to get to the end of this third and final race of the weekend. Who's that going down pit lane? It's Rahim Alibai of the Monlau Competition squad. So Rahim Alibai, the American, going nowhere. So the safety car is out again, but it was very quick indeed to see the safety team down there on the scene. The safety car, of course, is now going through the FIM layout, as it's known, the motorbike route. There is the very unhappy Philippe Carras, who carries 2 flags on his suit, the Greek flag and the French flag. And there is the third driver in the equation, Daniel Kelleher. We're going to see another look at this from the drone. Now, watch Daniel Kelleher on the inside, side by side with the 2 Campos cars. Look, he loses the braking point, pitches the car around, and poor Philippe Carras has nowhere to go. What's happened to Jacob Mikulev? Well, he's gone out wide. We'll see it again from down below. Watch Kelleher's car, slides, bang. Nothing that he could do. The back end had already gone wide, and it's all gone terribly wrong from there. I'm trying to see up the hill what's happened to Jacob Mikulev. I wonder if he got caught up in a separate incident. Well, certainly for the time being, we're not going to find out the answer to that one, but certainly for Carras, Kelleher and Fisher, they couldn't care less. Game over. So we've now got 6 minutes left on the clock and 4 cars to recover. I wonder if we're going to have enough time to clear the wreckage, because that's 4 cars to manoeuvre. The Marshall team is very fast indeed here, but whether or not we're going to get that point and get that opportunity is beyond me at the moment. So let's talk about positions. Ty is leading Montero, Canton and Franco. That hasn't changed. Coronel, P5, obviously up from 8th on the grid originally. Dunion, Petrovic, then Jensen Burnett. That tells you how much has been going on in this race. Burnett started all the way back in 15th. Luna Flusher is 9th. Jean-Paul Carras is 10th. He is the twin brother of Philippe. Simon Barbarella is 1 place out of the points. Alex Pineda is going much better than yesterday. 12th place for him. Fausto Guanaro. Then Mickey Blascos, Max Redek, Bolivet, Maria Giovananetto, Zoe Florescu, Louis Cochet and Felipe Rice. And then Sebastian Frigoulet and Jordan Moodley, the South African, in front of Boris Leisen, who had his problems earlier on, dropping all the way back to 23rd. And now we've just had Alibai go through the pit lane and rejoin. But Elliot Kaczynski and Dante Chima are behind him, even though they're ahead of him on the road, because they are a lap down. So some very good racing on the restart if we get it. Look how quickly the safety team has already cleared the wreckage. That's how brilliant they are at Portimão. Always been very, very impressed with how quickly they get things done here. So very impressive indeed from the recovery team and the marshals. We can't race at all without them, of course. So it's very important indeed that the marshals and the officials here running and governing these races are given the credit that they are due. Not easy when you've got a whole bunch of very hungry teenagers trying to trade paint around the circuit here. You've got to be on your A game and you've got to be very alert. So great to see the incredible response times from the marshals here. So safety car is out on track. I've got a feeling we're going to need to wait at least one more lap because of where Jacob Mikolev's car was positioned. I'm afraid to say that sadly Mikolev has now abandoned his car. He's had to, he's had no choice, because essentially he tried to get a gear and he couldn't find one. So we're going to go round again, and that could give us potentially only a 2-lap sprint. Because I think we'll just about have enough time to get to the end of the timer and start another lap. If we're going to stay behind the safety car at least one more rotation. We have to, because we've already got to this point on the lap. You can see the course map on your inset, and we're going back onto the home straight, and the safety car is still leading them, so we're going to go around for at least one more lap, and we've got 3 minutes on the clock. Now the question is, how quickly can they go around the course behind the safety car safely? Rocco Coronel doing his best Kimi Räikkönen impression there. Everybody weaving from side to side, trying to generate heat and temperature into the tyres and brakes, except for Rocco Coronel. So now the drivers will want to dial this in, because it looks like we're only going to get a 2-lap sprint at best. Maybe even a 1-lap sprint if we're particularly unlucky. There is the hard-charging Fausto Arnardo. Haven't really had the chance to speak about him much yet, but he could come away with a point or two here, depending on what we get from the final couple of laps of this race. The 44 in the middle of the train there, that is Elliot Kaczynski, who of course is a lap down for DXR. While the recovery is going on here and the safety teams have been cleaning up the wreckage, they've gone through the motorcycle layout rather than the full Grand Prix layout. So we've not got a lot of time left on the table to play with here. Safety car in this lap though. So I think we may just be able to get 2 laps in rather than 1. Ty leading, Montero, Canthan, Franco, Coronel, Dugnon, Petrovic, Burnett, Flucia and Jean-Paul Carras. That's your point scorers. But waiting in the wings are Barbarella, Pineda, Arnaldo, Blascos, Radek, Loet, Germano Neto, Florescu, Cochet and Felipe Rice. There's plenty of opportunities. There's plenty that can happen in these 2 laps. Safety car in this lap. You see it on the dial. And now it's all down to Nathan Ty to pull this off again from Noah Montero. He's now the one who dictates the pace. And after giving us a very thrilling restart last time, in which he backed up the pack right to the final crest on the home straight, if he does that again, well, we're going to have flotsam and jetsam aplenty in these final 2 laps. Noah Montero trying to second guess what Nathan Ty is doing. When will he drop the hammer? Waits, biding his time. The concertina effect is savage here from Nathan Ty. But it's totally up to him what he does. Noah Montero thought he was going to go for it then. It turns out he wasn't. And again, Nathan Ty is going to back this back up for as long as he has to before he floors the throttle. Ready, waiting for his moment off the final turn. He really is leaving this late. I think he's going to do exactly what he did before. Yes, he goes for the uphill trajectory and leaves it late. And Nathan Ty, for the final time today, goes green in E4. It's an absolute barnstormer down to the first corner. Noah Montero trying to stay with Nathan Ty and keeping the toe. Renault Franco's going for broke on Vivek Canthan as we run down to 0 as they come across the line. Here comes Dugnon. He's going to try and get in on Coronel. Petrovic waiting in the wings as well. Franco desperate to get past Canthan, who really is being cautious here. He wants that podium, and the field is really squabbling further back. Dugnon and Petrovic almost bang wheels, and the battle really is on. Watch out behind the top 5. We're going to see some skittles down to the hairpin here. Dugnon and Petrovic trying to keep the inside line. Everybody trying to go for broke, and there's a spinner in the middle of the pack. Please don't hit me. Please don't hit me. Fortunately, everybody manages to avoid Fausto Arnardo, but it's not what he needed. He can get going again without damage, but that is so disappointing for the Argentine. He really wanted to go for a point in the last couple of laps of the weekend for the E4 drivers. And so look at how tight it is for Nathan Tye to stay in front of Noah Montero. Montero was not caught out by the aggressive tactics of Nathan Tye, and so now Montero's got a chance to win on home soil. Meanwhile, Canthan is still trying to shake off Renault Franco. He looks in his rearview mirrors. He looks in the right one, looks in the left one, and it almost seems as though Franco's there on both occasions. Franco goes long. Canthan leaves room. And this is where Franco can get massive slipstream out of the final turn. Surely the Dutchman is just going to be biding his moment here for Canthan. Montero's going to have it tougher, but Franco's definitely got good toe here down the straight. Last lap. Hug the pit wall. Canthan's really going to make Franco work for it. Franco's going to try and come right round the outside. He can't quite get the energy of the car rotated. Good defence from Canthan. Good defence from Tye as well. Montero's right there. Coronel trying to come round the outside of Renault Franco. Canthan is placing his car in all the right places to keep these two Dutchmen livid. Back straight. Montero having a real crack at Nathan Tye. Franco having another good go. Up the inside! Late braking! Canthan's going to drift wide too. Coronel's going to get them both on the switch. Oh, they contact! Canthan and Franco collide, and Rocco Coronel snatches third as Montero goes for broke on Tye for the lead. Rocco Coronel into third position. Great reflexes, instantly genius reactions to what was going on in front. And now Noah Montero's only got a couple of chances now to get past Nathan Tye. He knows it. He knows that Tye will be thinking about points. Montero wants to win in front of his home crowd. Coronel third, Franco, Petrovic, Tunion, Canthan, Flusha back in the points again in front of Burnett and Carras. So are we going to get to see one final charge from Montero? He really is pushing the Sheffield boy out of the final hairpin. Drivex versus Griffincore, Britain versus Portugal, but Nathan Tye surely has done enough to keep Noah Montero honest. Down the drop, out of the final turn, and after immense pressure for the second time this weekend, it's Nathan Tye. He wins against Noah Montero. Rocco Coronel, a brilliant, flamboyant podium at the end there, and the win in the rookies category as well. Drivex are having a fairy tale. What a start to the season for the team. Nathan Tye makes it 2 from 3 here in Portimão with a stunning little drive from a stunning little teenager. Excellent, brilliant racing from Nathan Tye and the Drivex crew. Great effort from Noah Montero. You can't begrudge him that. Noah Montero doing an amazing job. Wow, sensational scenes here as Noah Montero pushes Nathan Tye to his limit all the way home. And it's Nathan Tye who hangs in there and grabs the victory. Rocco Coronel, a very smart and sensible podium finish indeed though. In third place, good enough for the rookie win as well, but Nathan Tye is your winner in the E4 Spanish Winter Championship. Finale at Portimão, but there's still 2 weekends to come at Jarama next week, and in 3 weeks' time at Motorland Aragon. But now it's Nathan Tye extending his points advantage with another 25 points in the bank. He'll be very happy indeed with his return on the investment that Portugal ended up being. Franco will be frustrated with P4, but that's where he ended up. Petrovic P5 from Tunion, Canthan, Flusha in the points again, Carras and Simon Bulbarella. Well, very exciting stuff. Well, Jenson Burnett dropped down at the very end of the race there. I wonder if there were a couple of penalties being handed out post-race. We are told that some penalties will go right to the end. Full credit to Noah Montero. He will lift the Portuguese flag onto the podium. Sadly for him, though, it won't be the top step he wanted so badly. He'll have chances, of course, to go for victories in Spain. And the marshals there waving to him. Thank you for giving us such entertainment, Noah. I'm sure everybody in the Portuguese racing fraternity will be very proud of their boy. He did a great job. Great return this weekend, despite having a tricky one in qualifying yesterday. So, Noah Montero just missing out on the victory. But for the second time this weekend, it's the Drivex and Nathan Ty who are victorious. Genuinely good drive here from Rocco Coronel. Rookie win, third position, and he'll be happy with that. Decent points in the end, 2 third places and a rookie win. He can be happy with that. Very smart decision making in the race as well. His racecraft was on point this one. But Nathan Ty comes through again after a solid defensemanship all the way through the race. He knew Noah Montero was going to give him a sensational amount of pressure all the way through. But on this occasion, it is the British driver, Nathan Ty, who will come through and celebrate on your screens. What an amazing end to the weekend for Nathan Ty, the 17-year-old from Sheffield. He is absolutely ecstatic, and rightly so.
Well done.
He celebrates with the team. Wonderful to see. And there is little Nico, who wants to be one of the first to congratulate his brother. Wonderful scenes here. Nathan Ty, such a happy man. Noah Montero can be satisfied as well, even though he didn't get the win he wanted. A podium in Portugal in front of his home crowd. You got to be relatively satisfied with that, especially after the misery of qualifying yesterday. But an excellent performance nonetheless from Noah Montero. He'll go back, he'll review, he'll assess the damage, he'll think about what will happen next week in Jarama, no doubt. But there are scenes of jubilation and joy here at Portimão, and not for the first time this weekend for Nathan Ty. Double victory and a clear lead heading to Jarama. First point of protocol, he's got to go over to the weighbridge to stand on the scales and make sure that he is okay. Drivers will lose a bit of weight during these races, but as long as they're within legal limitations, then everything is hunky-dory. But for the second time this weekend, and the second time in this E4 Spanish Winter Championship campaign, the British boy wonder Nathan Ty for Drivex has made it another victory. And it's mad to think that about 8 years ago or so, I was celebrating a race victory for him in the cadet title in Birolart UK Series by lifting little Nathan Ty onto my shoulders. Incredible. Here he is. He needs nobody to lift him onto the shoulders now. He's tall enough on his own. In conversation with Alex Garcia for the second time this weekend, it's Nathan Ty.
Winner for the second time this weekend, Nathan Ty. Well, are you not going to get bored of seeing me here?
Yeah, I mean, what a weekend. We've had 2 wins out of 3, and yeah, can't fault the team. Been amazing all week. Car was brilliant, and was a stable race. Held the lead quite nicely, and yeah, was good.
Talk us through the restarts, because you were taking a different approach from some of the other drivers who restart very, very early. You waited in the very last moment. I don't tell you to tell me your secrets, but you can explain a little bit.
Keep it on edge, you know, keep people excited, and yeah, both starts were brilliant. Got the gap, no threat from behind, so yeah, different tactic.
So question, now you've won 2 races out of 3. There's of course 6 more. You might have to think maybe about the Spanish Winter Championship title. My question is, I promised you yesterday we would go back to a bet. Do we cut our hair if we win the championship? I don't say clean shave, but you know, maybe?
Maybe. I mean, I'm happy to do it. Will my parents be too fond of that? I'm not too sure.
But if you win it, you can argue that.
Maybe. Let's see.
Okay. I'll consult with you next time out then. Any message for the people?
Well, I mean, yeah, what a weekend. Great job by all the Drivex. My management, big thank you. All my sponsors, my family, my dad, my mom, my little brother, and Scarlett watching at home. That's, yeah, to everybody, thank you.
Nathan, time to enjoy it, and see you next week again.
Exactly, thank you.
A very, very happy race winner in Nathan Ty, who, of course, as you see, is looking forward to maybe a new hairstyle. We'll say about that in a few weeks' time, probably.
I tell you what, Alex, if Nathan is willing to uphold that bet, I'm going to ask his dad to do the haircut. Nathan Ty taking the victory from Noah Montero and Rocco Coronel. Renaud Franco, Andrei Petrovic, Nacho Tunion and Vivek Canthan. Luna Flucia back in the points and the second best rookie in front of Jean-Paul Carras and Simon Barbarella, who does finally get a point after his hardship this weekend. Good to see him in the mix. Blascos, Cochet, Maria Giovananito, Zoe Florescu and Alish Pineda all putting on a good drive in this one to stay out of trouble. Jordan Moodley, Bolavet, and then it is Max Redek and Rahim Alibai in front of Felipe Rice and Boris Leisen, Sebastian Frigolet, Jensen Burnett, Fausto Bernardo, and then Elliot Kaczynski and Dante Chima. No other finishers in a very tough race indeed. But what a start to the campaign for Nathan Ty. Really on point. Also, I have to say, really determined racecraft from Noah Montero. A shame we didn't get to see him in the win. But after some trials and tribulations in the first part of 2026, what genius tactics and amazing gamesmanship from Rocco Coronel to put himself into the rookie win there. Very good work indeed from the Dutchman. It looks like he's definitely been taking some decent tips from Pauline Schwartz and Tom Coronel, his very famous parents in the world of motorsport. Alex, a very strong race indeed there. Good to see that the three top drivers were really up for the scrap, and they really made the tyres go the distance. They worked hard and they came through with a good result. We've got Luna Flucia on our screens there as well in conversation with her mother Lisa. There's been so many standout talents this weekend. What a great start to the year.
It's been amazing. I have to say, you were talking about Rocco Coronel and how opportunistic he was with the things that were happening in front of him. And I have to say, he reminds me, I'm looking very, very far back into the past, but he reminds me of some of the best moves of his father Tom when he was still racing in single-seaters back in the 90s. So I'm sure he's definitely taking some of those advices from his own father. And yes, I have to say, very impressed with some of the drivers who came from behind. Very impressed with Maria Neto and as well as Zoe Florescu, which we were talking about before the race. They stayed out of trouble. They recovered many, many positions. And if there's some kind of penalties post-race, they could be very, very, very close to scoring some points, or maybe scoring some points if the gods of racing are kind to them today. But the good thing is that first race weekend of the season, they've done very, very well. And I think it's only going to get better, both for them and for us in terms of enjoying the races. So all looking very good.
Gracias, Alex. It's been fantastic sharing the commentary duties with you. We'll get ourselves ready for E3. I'll let you crack on, and we'll see you very shortly.
We'll see you in a minute.
Podium duties, of course, coming up for our contenders. Alex, of course, needs to go back to the Spanish broadcast to sort out duties for the drivers there. We've got 6 drivers there, of course, because we've got a rookie podium as well as an overall podium. Simon Barbarella, 3rd in rookie. Luna Flucia, 2nd in rookie. Rocco Coronel, the rookie winner, as well as 3rd overall, behind Noah Montero and Nathan Ty. Nice conversations between team personnel. Tell you what, the Drivex team must think that Christmas has come very early with the way that their season has started, courtesy of the teenage talent from Great Britain, Nathan Ty, who really has started things in fantastic fashion. Drivex had a long drought waiting for victories when Juan Cota joined in with them last season. Now they really get to celebrate in fantastic style, don't they? Kicking off the season exactly the way they would have wanted to. They come away with a 2nd team's trophy on the podium. That's what it means to the team. This is a team that's clearly in 2026 going to have to get used to winning again. A great performance to start the season then for Rocco Coronel. Very smart moves through the race to get himself a 3rd position on the final lap and the rookie win with it. Wonderful to see the Portuguese star on the podium in his home event. He'll be frustrated it wasn't the win, but he deserves his place on the podium for sure. But on the top step of the podium for the 2nd time this weekend, it's Nathan Ty. He blasts into the lead of the standings and he heads the Harama full of confidence and a nice cushion in his pocket. For the 2nd time this weekend, we'll hear God Save the King. There we are, folks. A fantastic start to the season in the Spanish Winter Championship E4 category for Nathan Tai. 17 years of age, comes from a stock car racing family. His father was a very handy short oval stock car driver. Now Nathan Tai is going to try and get into a very different type of Formula One. Great work from Rocco Coronel, part of the Red Bull Junior program, of course, and the Dutchman following in the footsteps of his incredible parents, both of whom were amazing racing drivers in their own right. Second place for Noah Montero, the son of another great driver. Amazing, isn't it? 3 great racing dynasties continuing here on the podium. Nathan Tai Jr., Noah Montero, son of Tiago, and Rocco Coronel, son of Tom and Pauline Schwartz. So a spectacular podium photograph there for the drivers. Yes, you are going to need to take the trophy to the podium photograph. Like I said, Drivex are going to need to get used to this winning thing again. And now they really get to celebrate. It won't be a lackluster podium this time for Nathan Tai, Noah Montero or Rocco Coronel, as the boys here get busy with the fizzy. Wonderful scenes here in Portimão. Double bubble for Nathan Tai, and a victory in the sprint race yesterday for Andrei Petrovic. The Spanish Winter Championship campaign in E4 really has kicked off in style here in Portimão. They'll be back next week at Jarama. We've still got the E3 category to come later. Drivers' Championship provisionally, Nathan Tai now 15 points clear, 25 points clear of Noah Montero up to second. Canthin is third, 1 point back. Petrovic, Tunion, Gordonel and Franco all in the mix. Shawmans, Flusher and Kelleher all on double figures. Decent points on the board as well for Jensen Burnett, Jean-Paul Carras and Simon Balbarella. The rest of the field having to play catch up as we get ourselves ready for the next part of the competition. Euro Cup 3 competitors will come out onto the circuit next up. The E4 drivers will be back in 6 days' time on your screens for more action from the Circuito del Jarama, another former Grand Prix venue. From me, Jake Sanson, from my colleague Alex Garcia down in the pits, E4 has been amazing here at Portimão. We can't wait to see what Jarama has in store. Will Nathan Tai be victorious, or will one of the others challenge his authority? You'll have to tune in 6 days' time to find out. Bye for now.